Now Mr. Hom has come to another farm. This farmer wants to order some seeds by mail. He's buying them from a store far away, so he needs a money order to pay for them. He knows a money order is a safe way to send his money.
Welcome to the Dunwoody Post Office, everybody's favorite place to complain about. So whether you drop off your company's payroll in this thing, assuming that it's not broken, or you decide to send a couple checks to the grandkids for Christmas and you put it here, and especially if you decide to take a really big check and drop it off in this outside dropbox, there's a very good chance it will never arrive at the place you intended it to go. Hey, it's Rob. So I'm not here to throw the Dunwoody Post Office under the bus. Far from it. We've seen a lot of reports in the news lately about checks going missing, people expecting money to arrive that never does, and a lot of people are pointing the finger at the Dunwoody Post Office, but I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think you can say, with any degree of certainty that anyone here is actually doing it. It's not like there's some guy with a twirled up mustache grabbing the checks and running and screaming or whatever. There are multiple issues. They are systemic issues with the post office. And I'm just going to tell you what I know from doing a bit of research. And we're going to start by talking about what's happening here at this outside Dropbox. So people are definitely stealing mail from this outside Dropbox. I think it's pretty much the biggest complaint that people have about the post office at the present time. The news report said that over $250,000 of checks have vanished that were deposited at the Dunwoody Post Office, most of them being right here in this outside Dropbox. But I think there are multiple issues going on here, and I'm going to get into it right now. First of all, I think that whoever is stealing from the outside Dropbox, outside the post office, obviously has no involvement with the post office. They don't work for the post office, and they are simply waiting about right where I am right now and walking up and pulling it back out of the box. Now, what are they doing? They're putting some sort of adhesive, rubber cement, or some sort of two-sided tape maybe, right in the mouth of that drop box, and the mail is catching. It's not going all the way down into the box. They're simply walking over there, pulling it back out, and hoping they get a big payday. Now, of course, if the mail does go all the way inside the box and it goes missing, that's another issue, and that's, of course, somebody that is inside the post office themselves. I heard a story of somebody that dropped off 30 checks at the outside drop box, and none of them made it to their intended recipients. So the second issue is people complaining that they are dropping off checks inside of the post office, and those are also going missing. But again, I don't think there's any way to point the finger at the Dunwoody Post Office specifically. If you think about where your mail goes, yeah, it starts here, but it goes to a sorting facility. There are lots of trucks that transport it all over the place. It's not like your mailman from the Dunwoody Post Office takes your letter and, runs it out to LA or whatever. So there are multiple people involved in the handling of your mail, and it can be pulled out at any point. Now, I think it's an organized crime ring. I think, yes, there are insiders involved who work for the post office, but not necessarily here in Dunwoody. They could be anywhere, and they're probably being paid just to pull checks out of the mail stream, hand it over to the people who are then taking them. They are changing the recipients, they are changing the amounts, they're washing the checks, they are recreating the checks. There are a lot of different things they're doing to those checks, but again, I don't think you can just stand here and point the finger at Dunwoody, because it could be, and it probably is, happening in multiple different locations. So the third issue I'd like to discuss in this video is informed delivery. Informed delivery is a service offered by the post office. If you don't have it, it's really great to have, because they give you a preview of the mail that you can expect to find in your mailbox in the next couple days. What happens is they use an optical character recognition software program, and they generate a file that has all of the letters, packages, things that will be showing up, like I said, in your mail in the upcoming days, and they email you that file. So you know what to expect, basically, is going to show up in your mailbox. Now, the problem is, and I'm not the only person that complains about this or has been a victim of this, it seems like whenever you see 5 pieces of mail arriving at your house and one of them is the check you've been waiting for, your payroll check or whatever, you go and look in your mailbox and your 5 pieces of junk mail have arrived, or 4 or 5 pieces of junk mail have arrived or whatever, but the check does not make it in the same delivery. And it's very frustrating because it seems like checks are being pulled out of the mail stream and set aside. Who knows why? Now, in my case and in other cases, people have reported this, that informed delivery will show you 4 or 5 different pieces of mail, and sure enough, all the other mail arrives and you never get the check. In my case, it didn't come the next day, the next day, the next day. All the other junk came, but the check just vanished. Now, my check, to my knowledge, was never cashed. It wasn't washed or changed or anything like that. I simply knew the check was arriving because of informed delivery and because I work freelance and I had to keep track of when I have money coming in. And I simply canceled the check and had it reissued. Now, other people, of course, have reported that these checks have been altered, they've been changed, the recipient names have been changed, the amounts have been changed, and I'm going to show you right now what they are doing to the checks to make that happen. All right, and finally, now they have your check. What are they doing with it? Well, there's a few different things going on, and I'll share what I know, and we'll finish up here. So first of all, when they have your check, it is pretty easy, I guess, to generate a new check. Just looking at the numbers on the check, filling in the same information, and writing it out to whoever they want. Apparently, this works. You wouldn't think so, but there's probably programs on the computer that can generate a new check based on the numbers that they already have in front of them from the check that they stole from you. That's the first thing. The second thing, they're doing some type of what's called washing, where they erase or remove the ink in some sort of chemical process, and they're able to just, write over, whatever they want at that point for whatever amount they want to whoever they want the check to go to. And they go from there. And now the third thing, and I've seen a picture of this, and this thing is the most frustrating, is done over online banking. And online banking is a fantastic convenience, of course. It's amazing. I mean, sometimes I just sit back and I think, I'm at the bank and I'm in my pajamas at home and I'm depositing my paycheck, It's pretty incredible. And but for this convenience, of course, the downside is it's also very easy for these scammers, apparently, to get a hold of checks and to rewrite them in different amounts to different people. Now, I just, as a simple example here, have a check here written out to me, and I've taken another check, and all I've done is just cut off a little piece of it. I'm just going to tape over right here. And instead of this check going to me, well, there you go. It's now going to Pee Wee Herman. Now, this looks terrible, and it would never fly if I presented this at a bank. But over a mobile banking app, you're just taking a picture. So it's a lot easier, I think, to cover up this kind of graft if you're doing it over an image that is, seen on a screen as opposed to a physical check that you're handing to an actual person. Now, I'm just theorizing and I don't know for sure, but my understanding, just from doing the research, is that a lot of times they are not even looking at these images of the checks. If you think about it, they get thousands of checks deposited every hour. There's no way they can possibly look at the image of every check closely, see that it matches, see that the person who's listed on there and the numbers and everything. So I think a lot of times, and especially in amounts lower than $10,000, these checks are just being processed through very quickly. They're just taking a cursory glance, if at all. And although this looks terrible to us on the screen here, it may look good enough to pass through. And again, they don't have to get every check through. They just have to get paid at some point from doing this work, and it's money that they didn't actually earn. So I don't know. Apparently it's worth it to people to do this stuff because they are out there doing it, again, to the tune of over $250,000 from what I understand, and it's not going away. So basically, those are all the issues I'm going to discuss today. It's very frustrating. Like I said, I had money taken. Other people have had a lot of money taken. Some people have had, financial hits from this. Some people have been able to recover, or, they've been insured, or they've been able to cancel checks and things like that before they actually have to pay for them themselves. But it is a very frustrating issue, and it's easy to point the finger at the Dunwoody Post Office and say, they're doing it over there, because that's where I dropped off the check. But again, I hope I've pointed out to you during this video that it could be happening at any point in the system. Most likely, I would think it's happening at a big mail sorting facility down by the airport or something or other, where they just have, millions of pieces of mail flying in and out, and it's easy just to slip a few of these checks out and then to change the recipients, to change the amounts. And again, you'll see they are changing the amounts to something just below $10,000, which apparently will trip off a red flag. I'm guessing above $10,000, they really do look closely at each check, at the image, at what you're depositing. But below that, maybe they just spot check or something or other, and they just let them through, because clearly these people are successful at what they're doing. And unfortunately, a couple news reports and my video here are not going to stop it.